On December 4th, 1872, a merchant ship sailing through the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean spotted something strange drifting slowly in the distance. At first, it looked like any other ship, but as the sailors got closer, they realized something was terribly wrong. The vessel was moving, yet no one appeared to be on deck. No crew, no captain, just a silent ship drifting alone in the middle of the ocean. What they had just discovered would soon become one of the most chilling maritime mysteries in history. The story of a ghost ship known as the Mary Celeste. And to this day, no one knows what truly happened to the people who were on board. The Mary Celeste was a merchant brigantine ship built in 1861. Over the years, it had sailed across the Atlantic many times, carrying cargo between Europe and America. By 1872, the ship had a new captain named Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Briggs was known as an experienced and respected sailor. He had spent most of his life at sea and had an excellent reputation among other captains. But this voyage was different. Instead of leaving his family behind, Captain Briggs decided to bring them along. Traveling with him were his wife, Sarah Briggs, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia. Also on board were 7 crew members, carefully selected for the journey. In total, 10 people stepped onto the Mary Celeste before it left port. None of them would ever be seen again. On November 7th, 1872, the Mary Celeste departed from New York Harbor. Its destination was Genoa, Italy. The ship's cargo consisted of more than 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol, a highly flammable substance used for manufacturing and medicine. The journey across the Atlantic was expected to take about a month. For the first several days, everything appeared completely normal. The weather was manageable, the ship was well stocked with food and water, and Captain Briggs kept detailed entries in the ship's logbook. Nothing suggested that anything unusual was about to happen. But somewhere in the vast emptiness of the Atlantic Ocean, something went terribly wrong. Nearly a month later, on December 4th, another ship called the De Grazia was sailing through waters near the Azores Islands. The captain of that ship, David Morehouse, noticed a vessel drifting oddly in the distance. The ship seemed unstable, weaving slowly from side to side. Suspicious, Morehouse ordered a closer look. As the crew approached, they recognized the name painted on the hull. Mary Celeste. Captain Morehouse knew that ship. In fact, he personally knew Captain Briggs. The two ships had actually left New York around the same time. But something about this situation felt wrong. No one could see a single person on deck. No movement. No voices. Just silence. Morehouse sent a small boarding party to investigate. 3 sailors carefully climbed aboard the Mary Celeste. What they found was deeply unsettling. The ship was completely deserted. The sails were partially set, the cargo remained in place, and the ship itself was still seaworthy. But the entire crew was gone. Captain Briggs, his wife, their daughter, and the 7 sailors had vanished. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no damage from pirates, no indication of violence. Even stranger, many of the crew's personal belongings were still on board. Clothes, pipes, tools, and valuables had all been left behind. If the crew had abandoned the ship, they had done so suddenly, and for reasons no one could explain. The investigators began searching the ship for clues. In the captain's cabin, they found the ship's logbook. The last recorded entry was dated November 25th, 9 days earlier. According to the log, the Mary Celeste had been sailing near the Azores Islands. After that entry, the log simply stopped. But there was something else missing. The ship's lifeboat was gone. It appeared the crew had lowered the small boat and left the ship. But why would an experienced captain abandon a perfectly functional vessel in the middle of the ocean? Even more puzzling, there was plenty of food and fresh water left. Enough supplies to last months. Nothing about the ship suggested an emergency. And yet the entire crew had vanished without a trace. When the Mary Celeste was eventually brought into port, the mystery quickly captured international attention. Newspapers around the world began reporting on the strange ghost ship. How could 10 people simply disappear from a ship that showed no signs of disaster? Over the years, countless theories have attempted to explain what happened, but none have ever been proven. One theory suggests that Captain Briggs feared an explosion. Remember the cargo of industrial alcohol stored in the ship's hold. If some of the barrels had leaked vapors into the air, a spark could have caused a massive explosion. Perhaps Briggs believed the ship was about to explode and ordered everyone into the lifeboat temporarily. The plan may have been to stay close to the ship while the vapors cleared. But if the rope connecting the lifeboat to the ship snapped, the crew would have been left stranded in the open ocean, with no way to return. Another theory suggests the crew panicked during a storm. Although the ship showed little damage, the Atlantic can be extremely unpredictable. A sudden storm or rogue wave may have convinced the crew that the ship was about to sink. In a moment of fear, they could have abandoned ship, only to realize too late that the Mary Celeste was never actually in danger. Some believe piracy may have been involved, but investigators quickly ruled that out. The cargo remained untouched. Valuable items were still in the captain's quarters. Pirates would have taken everything they could. Instead, the ship looked as if its crew had simply stepped away and never returned. More mysterious explanations have also been suggested. Some people believe a sea monster attacked the ship. Others claim a giant wave swept the crew overboard. And of course, there are those who think something supernatural may have been involved. Alien abduction, paranormal forces, or something else lurking in the deep ocean that we still don't understand. But despite years of investigations and speculation, the truth remains unknown. The Mary Celeste continued drifting for days before being discovered. But the 10 people who had been on board were never found. No Nifibwat, no Vodius, no final message explaining what happened. They simply disappeared into the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean. Even today, more than 150 years later, the mystery of the Mary Celeste remains unsolved. It is still considered one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history. A perfectly good ship found drifting alone, meals left unfinished, belongings untouched, and an entire crew that vanished without leaving behind a single answer. Somewhere out on the open sea, the truth may still be waiting. But until it is discovered, the story of the ghost ship found with no crew will continue to haunt the waters of the Atlantic forever.